Tes, selamat pagi. Suara saya kedengaran ya?
Kedengaran Ibu.
Alhamdulillah, makasih ya.
Bali is an island of tourism that draws attention of the international world by its unique culture, nature and people. Bali is still a popular destination for people to take a vacation and a place for international events to be held. Bali is not just a tourism destination anymore, it is slowly changing into an educational destination for people to study abroad. And that is why we at the Faculty of Economics and Business at Udayana University have a target to become a world-class university in which can cover the demands of people who want to learn the economic and business study whilst attaining learning about culture and business traits in Bali and Indonesia. The Faculty of Economics and Business is the second largest faculty within Udayana University, and it is the leading economics and business school in Bali. There are two main campuses that accommodate students for studying activities, both local and international students, located in Jimbaran and Denpasar campuses. The Faculty of Economics and Business provides a range of management courses suited for bachelor degrees, master degrees, and doctoral degrees that focus upon three main concentrations of study, which are the schools of management, schools of accounting, and schools of economic studies. Also, it provides a range of professional courses and short courses which are diploma degrees, accountant profession courses, IBSN or International Business System Network courses, and also night class courses. This is to ensure students are able to master the distinct field of studying that can create effective competitiveness within the current global business environments. The management courses specifically provide a detailed approach to how managing people, organizations, companies, and multinational companies from a unique cultural distinction based on Indonesia's proficiency and also adaptability to the ever-changing demand of global management practices. From this, the faculty has created specific educational programs that help to develop a deeper understanding of knowledge, practices, and also the evolution of competitiveness in comparison to other universities within the island, the country, the region, or even even internationally. The curriculum at the Faculty of Economics and Business in Udayana University is designed to a level of education that matches current knowledge bases, technology advancement, and specific techniques that are applied in the current working environment. The studying program is distinguished into core subjects, concentration subjects, and elective subjects in which students can select freely. The credit points are distributed differently depending upon the unit's educational programs that the student selects. Information regarding the curriculum and specified credit point system that can be accessed online by students, staff, and the public through the faculty's official website. The education process is based on the structured curriculum that is re-evaluated and renewed every semester. The curriculum focuses in 3 core competent studies, which are management, accounting, and economic studies. The classes are taught by highly competent teaching staff with a minimum of a master's degree and doctoral degrees. And this also applies for guest lecturers that are from multiple of our partnering universities throughout Indonesia, such as the University of Indonesia, University of Gajah Mada, and other partnering universities. Besides of the 3 core competent studies that students have learnt, there are 3 unique subjects offered specifically at our faculty which is not commonly offered at other universities, which are cultural economy, tourism economy, and local content entrepreneurship. The reason for this is because the majority of industries in Bali are mainly geared up for the tourism industry and agricultural tourism, directly and indirectly. Also, entrepreneurship is a knowledge and skill that future graduates need to become a capable and competitive human resource that can compete effectively within the local and also the international business environments. These unique options are offered as a vision of Faculty of Economics and Business of Udayana to become one of the frontrunners to attain a world-class standard faculty from its educational process, development, and continuous improvement. The Faculty of Economics and Business at Udayana University is continuously striving to enhance its capacity by accepting international students to study and attain graduate degrees, postgraduate degrees, and doctoral degrees. Currently, the Faculty of Economics and Business at Udayana University has catered to students from Japan, Thailand, Germany, Russia, Malaysia, and Timor-Leste, in which the Faculty of Economics and Business at Udayana University will continuously strive to increase its potential and capacity of teaching international students and exchange students to ensure acceptability of the program in the international scale in comparison to similar programs offered by our competing universities nationally and internationally. The newest development to increase our competitiveness, acceptance, and credibility of our faculty regionally, nationally, and internationally is our pioneering new program, which is called the English Language Class Program, or ELCP. This educational program is offered in full English as an optional aspect for both local students and international students. To ensure the relevant quality of teaching and students to be considered into this program, each student, excluding international students or exchange program students, must be pre-interviewed to ensure the level of standard of grade of English speaking and understanding is maintained and executed to the highest standard.
Cik, tes. Cik.
The goal of the Faculty of Economics and Business at Udayana University is not only developing its educational curriculums and programs, but also its facilities. These facilities provided to support the studying program by providing physical buildings such as classes, libraries, discussion spaces, internet infrastructure to online education systems known as CIMAC, that support students to receive the best knowledge and practical skills needed to effectively compete internationally. Besides the academic facilities, the faculty also provides students a space to creatively organize campus events to increase their soft skills and also to learn earlier how to work in the real business environment. Thus combining the best of academic and non-academic situations to produce excellent, independent and rich graduates that are highly capable and valuable human resources to ensure the University of Udayana becoming a world-class university.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to International Webinar, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University 2021. International Webinar, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University 2021, with our grand theme, The Rise of Cryptocurrencies and Securities in the Digital Economy, Opportunities and Challenges, is held for one day, today, 23rd of November 2021. This event is held through link WebEx meeting and many more of participants joining by YouTube channels, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this event. My name is Mutiara Diva, and I will be your master of ceremony for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to me to announce you that among us here, we have the Excellency Dean, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. In this occasion is represented by Vice Dean of Academic Affairs and Planning, Mr. Dr. Ida Bagus Putu Purba Darmaja, Bachelor of Economics, Master of Economics. The Honorable Speaker, Professor of the University of Western Australia, Professor Dirk Bauer. The Honorable Speaker, Director of Bank Indonesia Institute, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. The Honorable Speaker, Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari from Udayana University, the Honorable Vice Deans and Head of Study Program and Unit in Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University, the Honorable Moderator, Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, Master of Accounting and Finance, the Honorable Lecturers, and for all the distinguished guests and all the participants. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin this event by praying to all the Almighty God. The prayers begin. The prayers stop. Ladies and gentlemen, now we proceed to the next agenda. That is sing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. For the Committee on Dati, the time is yours.
Indonesia, tanah airku, tanah tumpah darah.
continue the agenda with sing the FEB hymn. For the committee on Dati, the time is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to invite the Honorable Dean of Faculty Economics and Business, Udayana University. In this occasion is represented by Vice Dean of Academic Affairs and Planning to deliver a welcome speech and proceed the official opening of international webinar, The Rise of Cryptocurrencies and Securities in the Digital Economy, Opportunities and Challenges. Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University, 2021. To Mr. Dr. Ida Bagus Putu Purba Darmaja, Bachelor of Economics, Master of Economics, the time is yours.
Om Swastiastu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished speakers, Professor Dirk Bauer, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar, and Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari, my dearest colleagues, students, and all participants in today's international webinar. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. I hope I find you all well. On behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University, I am delighted to deliver a speech and officially open this webinar. As we all know, information technology has disrupted the old school of thought and brought significant change in our lives. Blockchain technology makes cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and the like work just like the internet makes email possible. Crypto assets, including cryptocurrencies and cryptosecurities, have become more popular gradually. Our speakers will disentangle what cryptocurrencies and cryptosecurities are and unfold how central banks in developed and developing countries respond to their growing popularity. Will central banks beat the Bitcoin and the like with central banks' digital currencies or join them, marking the end of money as we know it? I hope you all enjoyed this webinar. I expect that today's webinar will stimulate Indonesian policy debate and affect policymaking concerning the future of the financial stability system in the country. Last but not least, I thank all organizing committees of today's international webinar for making this event run smoothly. Om Santi 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 Om. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Dr. Ida Bagus Putu Purba Darmaja, Bachelor of Economics, Master of Economics, for the welcome speech and official opening. Well, ladies and gentlemen, next we come to our precise agenda, that is international webinar. This international webinar will be conducted by the great speakers that will be announced later by our moderator. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we will go to the webinar session, who will be led by our moderator. First of all, allow me to introduce his profile. Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana has been a lecturer of accounting at Udayana University since 2005. He earned his master's degree in accounting and finance in 2009 from the University of Adelaide, Australia with distinction. He is currently completing his PhD in sustainability reporting under Professor Richard Slack and Professor Carol Adams, research supervisor at Durham University Business School, United Kingdom. He is an associate fellow of Higher Education Academy from the Advanced HE, United Kingdom from 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, Master of Accounting and Finance. To Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, Master of Accounting and Finance, the time is yours.
Well, thank you, MC, for introducing me to the audience. Hi, very good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this webinar held by the Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. Today, we're gonna talk about how the rise of cryptocurrencies triggered a radical rethink of what money is and who controls it. As you may know, central banks have the power to respond to what's going on in the economy. If things are snugglish, then they can, lower the borrowing rates. They can even print more monies. If things are overheating, they can increase interest rates. They can also set rules regarding the level of cash private banks need to hold in reserve. However, the status quo is likely to fall in parts if people are no longer using traditional currencies that central banks control. In response to the rise of cryptocurrencies, central banks are currently developing central bank digital currencies known as Cbdcs. However, Cbdcs are centralized rather than decentralized like Bitcoin, Ether, Dogecoin, and the like. The questions are then, what's the urgency of having Cbdcs? What are the opportunities and challenges of centralized and decentralized blockchains? Last but not least, is this the end of money as we know it? Luckily, we have 3 experts joining us today. They will be answering those provoking questions. Our speaker will have approximately 45 minutes in total, including presentation, Q&A session, and also closing remarks. So if you have any questions to our speakers, please drop your questions in the comments or chats. Now let me introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Professor Dirk Bauer. He is a professor of finance at the University of Western Australia. He got his master's degree in economics and a PhD degree in financial econometrics from the University of Tübingen in Germany. His expertise lies in the area of shadow banking, Bitcoin, asymmetric volatility, and also the financial economics of gold. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Professor Dirk Bauer.
Thank you very much for this
Hello,
very
Professor
warm
Bauer.
introduction. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear your voice very clearly. Right,
Perfect.
as I said earlier, you've got 45 minutes, including everything. So, without further ado, the stage is yours.
And I'm trying to share my screen, and that works, right? Can you see it?
No, we haven't, at least on my screen. Yes, yes, yes.
Now it comes up, right?
Yes, it's on the screen now.
Oh, delay. Yeah, once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk. It's a big event, and I'm very happy to be part of this. So the title is roughly Cryptocurrencies in a Digital Economy, but I talk about opportunities and challenges, as is also the title of today's webinar series. So I'll give you a quick outline. What I'll do, talk quickly about what is cryptocurrency, what is blockchain, and then I will focus on opportunities and challenges, and give you also some very, very recent perspective of the Reserve Bank of Australia's, what they think, what they recently said about crypto. And then a very brief overview of DeFi, because this is what I think is the very promising, perhaps most promising part of crypto. I don't think it's Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. And then I conclude with summary and conclusions. So what is crypto? It all started roughly 13 years ago with Bitcoin That famous paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, we still don't know who that was. Was it a group or just one person? And one of the key parts here is what is needed is an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust, allowing any two willing parties to transact directly with each other without the need for a trusted third party. So I highlighted the trust here because that seems to be the key issue in that paper, what they wanted to address. And it's, in other words, there's this, in the current system, we have this middleman, right? If I want to borrow money, I usually go to a bank and they would lend me, but they would lend me money they got from someone else, so the bank is the middleman. And what Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology more generally tries to do is get rid of that middleman, right? We don't need the middleman anymore. The blockchain decentralizes all that. And so then we can have direct interaction between the parties, right? So then I don't go to a bank if I want to borrow. I do not go to a bank if I want to lend, but I can do this directly with those on the other side of the transaction. So quick background, Bitcoin was created in 2008, and it's based on, it introduced the blockchain technology essentially, and it's the oldest and most mature blockchain today. And it is, as was mentioned earlier, it is open, public, and distributed, and it's globally distributed, which has strong implications for central banks and the possibility to regulate it. Another thing, what is important is that is sometimes also confused, that Bitcoin was never hacked or compromised. What has been hacked and compromised were exchanges that allowed to trade Bitcoin, but Bitcoin per se was never hacked or compromised, so that is safe. But some people sometimes confuse that. So going a little bit deeper into the blockchain technology, what is it? It's a decentralized system that contains some kind of shared memory. If you want to think about it, I have written a short piece once about Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is a little bit, it's not a blockchain, but it's a little bit like, if you think about it, everyone can add information. And what is very similar here is that all the information that has ever been added, even if you delete something, is on that Wikipedia history. So you always add information. You can delete stuff, but that's still added information, even if you delete a word. And that's maybe a good analogy, I think, to think of what the blockchain does, like it adds information. So transactions are packaged up into a block and recorded and then distributed across a public network of computers. And the verification is the mining. When you hear about mining, you think, okay, something is like gold is actually mined, but this is essentially verification that the transaction is correct. And something that plays a big role here is the proof of work and consensus. And of course, the word cryptocurrencies comes from the fact that there is encryption here, the hash. That's why we call them cryptocurrencies. So each block also contains a reference to the previous block's hash, creating an immutable chain of records, explaining why we have blockchain. And the implications are, as I said before, there's no middleman, no central authority, and that's why they call it a trustless system. Trustless system is perhaps also a strong claim because you don't have to trust like the bank or someone in the middle, but you have to trust the technology. And I'm sure that some people, often a little bit older people, not the millennials, not the young kids, they think, oh, like I don't fully understand the technology, so I don't want to trust it. So a very simple example here to explain this. So imagine a small village somewhere, maybe 100 years ago. So then there was any transaction was recorded by one bookkeeper on a ledger, right? So here you have an example that John transfers money to Alice, $20, and then Bill transfers 30 to John. I don't know why this goes on forward. And Alice transfers some money to Bob, right? So there's one bookkeeper, and the problem is, of course, here in this economy, you have to trust the bookkeeper. There's this one, this bookkeeper is not in the middle, but it's this central authority that everyone has to go to. And that may work well, but what if the bookkeeper wants to go on a holiday? Then you cannot make any transaction. For example, what if the bookkeeper is sick and so on? There are problems, right? So a better alternative is if we distribute the ledger, and that explains why it's the blockchain is also essentially a distributed ledger technology with some add-ons. So now there's not one bookkeeper, but the ledger is distributed. And so if this is now done electronically, then we are very close to something that explains what the blockchain does and what the advantages are. Yeah, so this ledger is distributed, which explains why it's called distributed ledger technology. And then if we then encrypt this, all right, and put the information in blocks and chain them, then we have not only a distributed ledger technology, but we also have a blockchain technology then added on this. Now, a very key part is, can this system be regulated or shut down? That's important for policymakers or central banks when they are concerned about Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency or private money. And if you think about this one here, if this is in one country, well, then you can shut it down, right? But if this is globally distributed, so if this is let's say a global village, so each of these houses is in a different country, so then how do you regulate it then? How do you, if you want to shut it down, how do you do that? And that's a key part that is also sometimes misunderstood, that the beauty of this distributed idea, Bitcoin, is that like one country can say, well, we don't want this, we want to shut it down, but that doesn't lead to the global shutdown of it, because you simply cannot do it. Right? And also, what do you do? This is all technology based. If you want to find the technology, what do you do? Like, you want to put some of these people, let's say someone creates a private money that facilitates and promotes illegal activity, which of course no one wants, but it's a technology. So, and if that is distributed, it's really hard to regulate. Good. Now, coming to the opportunities and challenges, what is important is that this is it's a very interesting space for me, and I think for many people, because there are very, very diverse opinions about this. Some people, like on the left here, Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, said for a long time this is all like Bitcoin is worth nothing, the whole thing is a fad, doesn't work. And then we have, and there's not just Jamie Dimon, there are many more people that say this is all like, this is crazy, this is all that, nothing of these things has intrinsic value, below zero. And then there's this other people that are the exact opposite. They think that this is the solution to all our problems. This will change the world for better. This will democratize finance. Everyone, this means the end of poverty. Everything will be more efficient. Everything will be cheaper. Everything will be great, right? So very extreme. And I think, and I think it's pretty easy to agree with this, that maybe the views are too extreme and we are somewhere in the middle. So Jamie Dimon on the left, and the right ones here are the Winklevoss twins, who claim that they invented Facebook, and they are now into the crypto space. So what did they say specifically, these two? So the guy on the left said, I personally think that Bitcoin is worthless, and he made other statements. Even though recently he's the CEO of JP Morgan, they announced that they will, of course, help their clients to invest in crypto, which is like a funny little inconsistency, perhaps. And the Winklevoss twins, the two guys on the right-hand side of the previous picture, they say that at a 10 trillion market cap, we think one Bitcoin will be worth $500,000. Currently, it's around $60,000, right? So they think there's a lot of potential, and they're not the only ones, right? Really extreme. One says essentially zero, the others say like it's $500,000 worth. So specifically, opportunities and challenges. So what are the opportunities, or what is a claim that what we will see, that blockchain will revolutionize everything? That's a very strong claim. Then it's new money. It's an alternative to fiat currency. It's global money. It will democratize finance. It's a new investment class. That's pretty clear that it is a risky one, but that's obvious. Then it's a store of value, the new gold. It is efficient, makes payments more efficient, and also it makes everything much more transparent, which some people say is a good thing. And then the challenges. Challenges is a nice word for risk maybe, or problems. The challenges are that is too volatile to be money. That is extreme volatility actually, that we have a lot of manipulation, pump and dump schemes, that it's unregulated. Some people call it the Wild West of finance. Then that it's anonymous, it facilitates illegal activity, money laundering, and that it's dirty. Dirty in environmental aspects. Good. Going more into detail here, blockchain solves all problems. That was a couple of years ago. That seemed to be. There were a lot of articles about this. That blockchain is the solution to many problems, and sometimes even to problems that we didn't even know that we had. So what works with virtual currencies? For example, that Bitcoin assets created on the blockchain does not necessarily work with real goods. That's called the Oracle problem, which is also something that is not really well understood. People think that, well, if Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies work so well, then I can also put real stuff on the blockchain, like the origin or the provenance of wine or gold, or chemical properties. I can do all kinds of things with blockchain. But the truth is that there's a big difference to when you create something on the blockchain. The cryptocurrencies are all created on the blockchain, so they're native assets to the blockchain. While when you do real assets, wine, gold, houses, art, someone has to put the information on the blockchain, which then means that you have to trust this someone or this entity that does it, which creates problems. So specifically, is it money? Well, when you look at this, that's the Bitcoin chart just from this year, and we see that it varies. Bitcoin here just over the past year to date, varied between 29,000 roughly and 68. So that means there's quite some volatility, and when we compare that with fiat currency, this is usually not what we observe, unless we go to Venezuela or high inflation countries. But then usually it's one way, this volatility. So is that good to serve as money? The properties of money, there are three properties: the medium of exchange, the unit of account, and store of value. And what I can tell you, and what you've seen here anyway, is that it's too volatile to be a medium of exchange. If you just think about it, would you want to use this to buy something? Maybe, if the price is high, and if you're sure that from today the price falls, but you can never be sure. So you don't want to, essentially, if you use something like this as money, you are always speculating that this is a good time to buy something, to use it as a medium of exchange. And as a unit of account, of course, is also not really useful if that unit of account changes, doubles within 4 weeks, and then halves again within 4 weeks, and so on. So this has problems, right? Store of value, maybe that's another discussion, but let's go to a solution to excess volatility: stablecoins. When you look at here, I just got the top 5, the Cardano is number 6, top 5 cryptocurrencies in terms of market capitalization. This is all in red because when I downloaded it, it was unfortunately falling, but recently it's kind of on a downward trajectory. But you see one of these cryptocurrencies in this list, the top 5, is relatively stable, and that's Tether. Right? You can see this here on the right-hand side. Not sure if I can, do I have something to, maybe I can even annotate here. I can. On this side here, we see we have a lot of volatility here, but not here. This is still volatile, but it's relatively stable around 1. So Tether is pegged to the USD at 1, and it's very successful because it's used as a vehicle to get into the crypto space in general, and trade, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, and when you sell it, you get Tether. So it's a vehicle. And the interesting part for us today is that Tether is also considered by regulators like as a bank, right? So it essentially creates a currency that is then used to as a medium of exchange, but then medium of exchange to buy other cryptos. So there was because I'm an academic, so I thought I'd give you also one very influential article here, which is still disputed by Tether. But in this article, it was essentially claimed that Tether issued money out of thin air. That's what sometimes central banks are accused of, or it's not a nice wording to say that, right? I mean, they have they can print money. That's what they should do. Tether said that whenever they issue Tether, it is fully backed by USD or something equivalent. So these guys claimed that it was not always tethered, and at some tethered to the USD, not one-to-one. And at some stage, Tether had to admit that they are not. And the last sentence here down there, rather than demand from cash investors, these patterns, what they find is consistent with the supply-based hypothesis of unbacked digital money inflating cryptocurrency prices. So essentially, Tether was issued, not fully backed. And of course, when you issue it and that newly created Tether is used to buy Bitcoin, that can inflate prices and make them, inflate them or make them more volatile. Another important aspect of these stablecoins is, of course, they solve the problem of that excess volatility. That's great. But they are not decentralized, because Tether, at least not Tether, there's an authority, a middleman that makes sure, or that claims that they make sure, that every Tether is backed by USD. And many regulators, central banks, also in the US here, based on this article, they have really a problem with stablecoins. There were a lot of articles recently that said stablecoins pose a risk to the broader financial system because they act like banks, and so they can be bank runs, and there's no protection against those bank runs. Coming to the store of value, when you look at this, people could say, well, it's not a store of value because it's again too volatile. But when it goes up, someone could argue, well, I mean, it stores value. It historically it has positively stored value in the sense that it stored value, but even increased the value of it. Right? But gold is also considered store of value, despite the fact that gold is volatile, and despite the fact that gold also went up significantly. So another question or claim is, when we talk about challenges or opportunities, is Bitcoin digital gold? Here you can see a chart from 2011 to 2021, the performance of gold. You see that gold was up in the early 2000s and went down, right? It's also volatile and went up recently. So store value, gold, but very volatile, also very volatile. And then if Bitcoin is digital gold, when we look at the correlation, you would think, well, if it's the same, or if it's even better, the correlation should be perhaps relatively high, maybe 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. But we can see that it's very close to 0 and only recently went up. but it only went up to 0.15 on average. So the claim that Bitcoin is the new gold, yeah, you can make it. There are a lot of claims out there. But when you believe in the correlation, that the correlation reflects somehow the similarity of assets, there's no clear evidence that Bitcoin is in fact the new gold, because the correlation is relatively low, close to zero, and often for most of that period, not significantly different from zero. Now let's go into one of the other claims, opportunities, and well here, but more challenges. So Elon Musk and his, we all know it from Tesla company, and he's the richest man on the planet. He, at some stage, endorsed Bitcoin. I think that was in February. And then, of course, when someone like Elon Musk endorses it and says, like, we will allow people to use Bitcoin to buy Teslas, the price of Bitcoin shot up. But then, for some reason, even though that was well known for many, many years, 2 months later, there was this tweet that said, well, cryptocurrency is dirty, Bitcoin is dirty, so now we have a problem with it, which really surprised me, because it was public knowledge that it's energy intensive, and yeah, maybe there was just too much backlash, too much pressure on him to change his initial endorsement, because it was well known before that there's high energy usage. So here we see that Bitcoin's electricity usage compared with other countries, and we can see that initially it had the same usage, just Bitcoin, not cryptocurrencies like all of them, but just Bitcoin. It had the same usage as Denmark, and then the same as Chile, Finland. So it has the similar usage as entire countries, which is often used as an argument that that's bad, and this is then the basis why we should shut it down or prohibit it. What people don't say here is that central banks may also be, or fiat money may also be responsible for some energy usage and some carbon emissions. And also there are companies that have very, very high energy consumption and carbon emissions. So I have done some research on that, where we say, well, you know, as an investment, Bitcoin doesn't look perfect, but when you compare it with an investment in the S&P 500, for example, and what kind of companies you have in there, Bitcoin is not so bad. And we just propose that we put these things in perspective. Right? So coming to an Australian perspective and central banks, there was just, I think last week, a speech by someone like the head of payments of the Reserve Bank of Australia, who warned of the faddish crypto space, and that there will be a crash. And then, of course, here you can see Blockchain Australia then tweeted that it's a disappointing view in the face of a global opportunity to lead for Australia. So what did he say? One of the things here, Tony Richards gave this speech, and he said, for example, the recent boom in this area is perhaps best illustrated by the fact that Dogecoin, a cryptocurrency that was started as a joke in late 2013, had an implied market capitalization as high as 88 billion in June this year. And there's also another one of these joke or parody coins or nonsense coins. There are a lot of different words for it, Shiba Inu, that also had a pretty high market capitalization. And I think that's a good argument. That's something that has really no use case really. It's just was started as a joke, that it has a pretty high valuation. But there's more to it, right? So Tony Richards also talked about central bank digital currency as a potential new money. And what is important here is that one of the big claims was here that if the central bank introduces digital currency, that this would potentially be the end of cryptocurrencies as we know it, because in his speech it seemed that he wanted to say that, well, if people had an alternative to these private monies, and if there was a digital currency issued by the central bank, that then they would all use that one, and not Bitcoin and not Ethereum and others. And you can guess that, of course, there's a strong opposition to this claim. Because people say, well, we do not invest in Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin or Ethereum because there's no government alternative. The idea is that we buy that because we don't want the government alternative. Yeah, and as you know, it seems that the Chinese digital yuan or the Chinese government seems to be leading the potential issuance of a central bank digital currency. There's a lot of observers that say that China is very close to the issuance of it and ahead of all the other countries. Then there's some examples here. You see this, what I just said about China. And in the second point here, the Reserve Bank, this point here, the Reserve Bank staff have also not been convinced to date that a strong policy case has emerged in Australia for such a currency. So it seems that while he was saying that this could be an alternative to the private monies and the risks associated with it, according to his view, because it's a fad and people will lose a lot of money, that this could be alternative, but it seems that the Reserve Bank of Australia is not considering, based on this, to issue one very soon. And one of the arguments is because Australia's existing electronic payment system is apparently very efficient and low cost already, which I don't want to dispute. I'm just not so sure whether this is what people are concerned with who have an interest in cryptocurrencies. And in terms of what the other big issue is, I think, very exciting issue is decentralized finance or DeFi. And here, this is potentially where things are heading to, because we know that interest rates are pretty low, and it's not so easy to find a bank in Australia that pays more than 1.3% if you want to deposit Australian dollars. And here, this is an example for crypto lending interest rates for November. Of course, these cryptocurrencies they have some kind of risk, right? But particularly, of course, Bitcoin, if you want to lend Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is volatile. But you can also lend a stable coin. I can disclose that I have a stable coin with, maybe I don't say like with who, because I don't get any money from them. But so here you can see that you get an interest even if you invest in DAI and you lend DAI, you get like here in the middle 8.5, 9.13. I'm not saying that this is riskless, but it's pretty high interest rate. USDT here, Tether down there offers, for one, maybe this, like, I mean, we always have to be careful with this, right? But what you can see is that their interest rates clearly above zero, which just shows it's not just that you can invest in cryptocurrencies as a store of value if you want to, or as an alternative to fiat currency, but you can now also lend and you can also borrow, which I don't show here because of time constraints. And some people project, and I also think that it's quite likely that maybe in a couple of years, I don't have to go to a bank if I want to borrow money, or if I want to buy a house, I can go to one of these platforms and maybe globally source the funds that I need to buy a new car or a new house. And we see here an example of a very, very dynamic environment and system. Good, so concluding remarks. There are strong claims, very strong claims from both sides. I use Jamie Dimon and the Winklevoss twins as two examples. The truth, I think, as I said before, is somewhere in the middle. So Bitcoin is risky, yes, but other assets are risky too. So I don't think this is a very strong argument. Bitcoin is dirty, yes, but other assets are dirty too. That's not a reason to shut it down, because if we shut down Bitcoin based on that it's dirty, then we have to shut down companies that do a lot of dirty stuff as well. Bitcoin is unregulated. yes, but other assets are not free of manipulation either. There's a lot of accounting scandals and manipulation also in traditional regulated markets. So I would argue that, well, you know, if you invest in something in an rather unregulated space, and if you know that it's unregulated, that's not necessarily worse than if you invest in something that is regulated and you believe that it's well regulated, but there's still scandals. So you may have the illusion that it's safe in a regulated space, while here there's no illusion, and if people are aware of it, no problem. Bitcoin may facilitate illegal activity, money laundering, all that, but illegal activity much older than Bitcoin, right? The Economist had reported earlier this year that the global money laundering is estimated above 5 trillion, and that is relatively stable and is not a Bitcoin issue. I mean, that this money laundering happened well before Bitcoin. Possible that Bitcoin maybe hasn't reduced it, but the problem is there and is not. I don't think that it's really exacerbated by Bitcoin. So cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology have potential to disrupt the existing financial system, and I think for me and I guess everyone, it's a very, very exciting times to watch how this space grows and also see how these different opinions potentially change over time. So thank you very much. If you have comments, feedback, please send that to my email address. I would also like to briefly say that we are looking for high quality, very, very good PhD students. So if you know very good PhD students, or if you think that you are a potential PhD student, I also invite you to email me. I'm also interested, of course, in joint programs with your university and more, so that we have more interaction between Australia and Indonesia and between our universities. So thanks again for the invitation, and I hope it was useful.
Thank you very much, Professor Bauer. We have a few more minutes for Q&A session. So please drop your questions in the chats or comments. While waiting for that, I've got one question for you, Professor Bauer. From your presentation, do you mean to say that, you know, Bitcoins and friends are less likely to be recognized as the future currencies in the digital economy because of their, you know, characteristics of being, you know, too volatile, while CBDCs would be more likely to become the future currencies, to the form of future currencies in the digital economy?
I don't think that Bitcoin, I don't know what the friends of Bitcoin are, but let's say the friends of Bitcoin are all the cryptocurrencies that are not stable, like non-stable coins, and I think those are unlikely to become money or alternative to that currency in the near future. I would be surprised if stable coins, I mean the Cbdc would be stable coins. The question is just, would private stable coins have a chance to be adopted widely, or would that be central bank issued stable coins? But I think the stable coins have potential to become money in the future, in future digital economies, but Bitcoin and the friends of Bitcoin, those that are not pegged to something that is relatively stable, I don't see that this will happen.
Right. Thank you for your feedback. Do we have any questions here for Professor Bauer?
May I ask the question?
Oh yeah, there's a question here appearing on the screen from Asti Aksari. Thank you for your insight talk. I would like to ask your opinion. Do you think that the role of the traditional financial system will decline due to the development of cryptocurrencies? Professor Bauer.
I think the traditional system will be disrupted. The question is, how does the traditional system deal with it? Right? I mean, I'm always a little bit careful with predicting the future. I mean, I know a lot of people that make strong claims about the future, and then things change, right? I mean, I heard that the blockchain and Bitcoin that means the end of accountants, because everything will be done through smart contracts and stuff, right? It hasn't happened, and it's actually the opposite, and we need more lawyers now to look at the smart contracts and so on. So I think disruption clearly, and I can also see that the power of commercial banks will be disrupted and maybe diminished. In an Australian context, I think that could happen, that these big banks, that there's just more competition, and the crypto space will play a part as an alternative investment space. So disruption for sure, and disruption also means change. It's just not so clear how big the change will be and how fast that will come, but that's why I showed you the DeFi example here with the lending. I mean, this is already evidence that there is already competition, right? Because people can they can actually lend, and they couldn't really lend, like retail investors couldn't really lend easily before, shares, for example. So this shows that this decentralized open space gives us, retail investors, so much more opportunities that will disrupt the current system.
Right, thank you, Professor Bauer. There's another question from participant that would like to talk to you directly. Yes, please, Dr. Manuati Dewi, time's yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Very interesting explanation about cryptocurrencies, Professor Dirk. I'm very interested in this kind of, okay, we can call money trading, yeah. But I'm very sorry, I cannot be able on cam because my camera is off. It's trouble from this morning. So I'm not in the field of financial management. I come from human resource management field, but I'm interested in this kind of money trading because some of my friends previously invest in this kind of trade money. Would you like to give a suggestion for the beginner who would like to invest in this kind of trade money? Because in cryptocurrencies, there is a terminology for fear of missing out. The beginner who just follow the previous investor. Please kindly you give a suggestion for the beginner like me who did not familiar with the digital money and technology. Thank you, Professor.
Yes, please.
I mean, what I heard is FOMO, is fear of missing out, and I think this is when fear is involved in your decision is always bad, right? So I would fear, angst, whatever. I mean, I think you should make a decision not based on fear, right? Because I think you make a mistake for sure. So my advice would be, if you think that you have to do something because of fear of missing out or because of angst or because of whatever, don't do it, right? And I mean, also the other advice is, of course, diversification, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, I can tell you that I hold different crypto assets, but of course, I don't put all my money into crypto assets, right? And I wouldn't put all my money into one crypto, into Bitcoin, but I have diversified that. And that's what I would suggest to everyone, and be very careful. I mean, you have to be prepared to lose everything, right? And if you prepare for that, or a lot, then make your decision, right? But just to invest because you, like everyone tells you have to, or you fear of missing out, I mean, that's not, I would never give that advice. It's not a good investment basis.
Okay. I would like to add my question. Is there any illegal institution for this kind of Bitcoin? Because I hear some of my friends lose their money because of they invest in the illegal investment institution like that. Thank you.
You mean exchanges, right? So yeah, so that's something. I mean, there are regulated exchanges and unregulated exchanges, for example, right? So you can, and I would advise that if you want to trade Bitcoin, if you want to buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin, then use one of those regulated bigger ones, and be very careful with small exchanges or small operators. I mean, this is what I didn't say is that I was, when I started to get into the crypto space 5 years ago, I was fascinated by the amount of fake news. I think 5 years ago, before Trump, fake news wasn't such a big thing yet, right? It became much bigger with Trump, but in the crypto space, it was always full of fake news, right? I mean, you would. I heard about Bitcoin is now accepted by Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, but by Expedia and by airlines, and so there were articles about it that this airline is now accepting Bitcoin. Then I Googled it, and then the airline didn't exist, or the other airline was bankrupt. So it was full of fake news, and it's a great exercise to be careful and really always check the information. And it's less so because it has become more mainstream, but you have to be very careful. And another advice is, I mean, you could diversify. Of course, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But what I do is I also do not put all my eggs into one exchange, but even have several exchanges or wallets where I trade, so that I also diversify that risk, right? But of course, before I do it, make sure that it's a regulated exchange, which in my case, these exchanges that I use are all regulated or accepted, but they have a license here in Australia, for example, or overseas.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bauer. Thank you, Agus Adriana. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Right. Very insightful talk, Professor Bauer. But unfortunately, we are approaching the end of your session. It is now your turn to provide very short closing remarks before I hand over the webinar to MC to deliver your certificate. Please, Professor Bauer.
Thank you. My closing remarks are that it was a great opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you. The questions were very good, and I hope you got something out of what I said today. It's an exciting space, and I think it's great that we had that webinar where we can talk about it and exchange our views. So thank you very much.
Thank you again, Professor Bauer. Thank you so much. Now I'm handing over this webinar to MC to deliver certificate virtually to Professor Bauer. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first webinar session is over. In order to express our gratitude, we are honorably present the speaker biggest appreciation represented by the Head Unit of Research and Community Service, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. We'll give an awarding charter to Professor of the University of Western Australia, Professor Dirk Bauer. For the Head Unit of Research and Community Service, the time is yours.
A very good morning, Professor Dirk Bauer. On behalf of the Faculty of Economic and Business, we would like to extend our gratitude to you for sharing your excellent insight and knowledge to all of us. It was so wonderful. I do believe this will be a good starting point for the collaboration of the two universities. Please kindly accept our certificate of appreciation. Please give our big round of applause to Professor Bauer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We would like to say thank you to the speaker and our moderator for the great conversation and insights. And now for the second webinar, will be led by our moderator, to Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, Master of Accounting and Finance. The time is yours.
Well, thank you, MC. Now we shall move on to our second speaker, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. Allow me to introduce her profile. Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar is the director of Bank Indonesia Institute. She obtained her bachelor's degree in financial management from Brawijaya University. And then she undertook master's in business administration at the University of Wollongong in Australia. She completed her PhD in economics from the University of Indonesia. She has published a number of books and research papers in reputable journals. In today's webinar, she will be talking about how the central banks in Indonesia respond to the rise of cryptocurrencies and securities. Without further ado, please give a big applause to Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Thank you, Pak Putu, for nice introductions.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. As I said earlier, you've got 45 minutes in total for everything, presentation, Q&A, and lastly, the closing remarks. So without further ado, the stage is yours, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Putu. It is a great pleasure for me to join this webinar on the rise of cyber currency and securities in the digital economy, opportunities and challenges. I would share with you my presentation today. Can I share?
Please. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Today's webinar, I will discuss four issues. The first is the development of the cyber currency, the opportunity and the risk for its development, the regulation and supervision of cyber currency, especially in Indonesia, and a way forward. I will start with the first part of my presentation, where I will introduce about the development of crypto assets, stablecoin, and cyber currency. I will start with the evolution of the payment system itself. The payment system has been evolved throughout the decades. It has been growing rapidly, starting from the simplest method, which is barter, to the complex system nowadays, which is virtual money. Then payment system continues to evolve from cash-based payment instruments to non-cash payment instruments such as check, debit notes, and credit notes that are processed using clearing and settlement mechanism. Payment instruments that were originally paper-based have later developed into paperless payment instruments such as electronic fund transfer and payment instruments such as credit card, debit card, and prepaid card, or card-based and ATM card. And in the last decade, the wave of digitalization and its penetration into people's life has drastically changed people's behavior in payment activities. Payment instruments are also increasingly varied with the presence of card-based and server-based electronic money. The presence of virtual money, which is currently better understood as a digital money, brings its own complexity, especially in the digital money instruments issued by parties other than the monetary authority. As the payment systems develop, the use of digital payments also increases. Based on the taxonomy of digital payments consist of payment instruments based on fiat money or e-wallet or e-money, and those based on non-fiat money or virtual currency. Electronic money is a payment instrument with several elements, including money being deposited in advance or floating money, the value of money stored in a media server or chip, payments to merchants who are not electronic money issuers and are not deposits according to the banking law. E-wallet is an electronic service for storing data in payment instruments, including payment instruments using card and electronic money, which can also accommodate funds to make payments. Virtual currency is a digital money issued by a party other than the monetary authority, obtained by mining, purchasing, or transferring using blockchain technology. In the response of evolution of payment systems, Central Bank is currently developing the concept of Central Bank Digital Currency or CBDC. During the digital era, crypto assets have gained the global attentions. And in Indonesia, based on Commodity Trading Supervision Authority regulations in 2019, crypto assets are intangible commodities. Crypto is commodity. And it is very important for us that crypto assets are intangible commodity in the form of digital assets using cryptography, peer-to-peer network, and distributed ledgers to regulate the certain and creation of new units, verify transaction, and secure transactions without interference from other parties. There are several types of a crypto asset. The first is utility tokens that have value within the platform on which they operate, such as technology, people, and other partners. Second is asset-backed token, that is a virtual asset whose value is pegged to a currency, item, commodity, or other stable asset to minimize price volatility. Third is security token, that is digital assets in crypto from use to create a pre-existing business ecosystem. Fourth is a non-fungible token, a unique token that represents a digital thing, which means proof of authenticity and ownership of assets in the digital world and recorded on the blockchains. And the last is decentralized finance or DeFi token. It's a digital assets in crypto from use to create a pre-existing business ecosystem. Now, specific about the stablecoin, one type of the crypto assets, stablecoin are a specific category of crypto assets which have the potential to enhance the efficiency of the provision of financial services, although it might also generate risk to financial stability, particularly if they are adopted at a significant scale. Stablecoin is a cryptocurrency or digital token that aims to minimize the volatility that become the characteristic of other cryptocurrencies by using a reference value based on a specific asset, set of assets, or algorithm. There are three types of stablecoin. The first is collateralized stablecoin, that is backed by fiat money, crypto asset, or commodity. Second is non-collateralized stablecoin or algorithm stablecoin that rely on complex algorithm to keep their price stable. And the third is hybrid coins that hold value partly being both asset and algorithm model. About the future currency, tokenization of money, which is assumed to often use blockchain technology, is the basis of cryptocurrencies, stablecoin, and the Cbdc concept. Data show that the market value of crypto assets continue to increase, especially Bitcoin, while the market value of stablecoin varies greatly depending on the composition of their reserve. The market value of crypto assets has tripled since 2017 in search of high yields dominated by Bitcoin purchases by retail and corporate investors, while digital money in 2020s is moved toward a growth of digital money tokenizations. During year 2020, Bitcoin price increased at the end of December 2020. However, can see here that the Bitcoin price is quite volatile, such as at the end of 2017, where Bitcoin hiked up but then plunged in 2018. Big tech, through DIM or similar initiative, alongside a wider adoption of cryptocurrencies, is building a new payment ecosystem. The disruption of private digital currency and shadow banking led to the emergence of the Cbdc concepts. In Indonesia context, according to a Commodity Trading Supervision Authority or BAPEPTI, data as of July, it is July 2021, there are around 7.5 million investors of crypto assets with a total transaction of around 480 trillion rupiah. Its data up to July, and daily transaction of around 2.3 trillion rupiah. As we can see in the presented graph as well here, the growth of crypto assets and stable coins is increasing rapidly. A total market value of all the crypto assets increased since early 2020. An entire ecosystem is also flourishing, replete with exchange, wallet, miners, and stablecoin issuers. Stablecoins, which aim to peg their value usually against the US dollar, are also growing with their supply, being fourfold throughout 2021. We can also see here that the reserve composition of top stablecoins such as Tether and USD coin are varying from cash, commercial paper to other crypto assets. Given the composition of the reserves, some stablecoin could have effects to the financial system. The further digitalization of currency and payments is inevitable, and central bank will play an important role in driving innovation. Central banks across the world have advanced their engagements on CBDCs, progressing from discussion stage to experimentations. Committee of Payment and Market Infrastructure in Bank of International Settlement, or BIS, defines CBDC as a new form of central bank money, that is, a central bank liability denominated in assessing unit of account, which serve as a medium of exchange, unit of account, and a store of value. BIS have provided a great taxonomy of money. The taxonomy distinguishes between two possible forms of CBDC. First is a widely available on consumer-facing payment instrument targeted at retail transactions. And second is a restricted asset and digital settlement token for wholesale payment applications. Within the concept of money, CBDC will be a sovereign currency that is also widely accessible, then it can compete with a cryptocurrency and global stablecoin. There are three foundation principles of CBDC, which are no harm to monetary and financial stability, coexistence and complementary of public and private money, and promotion of innovation and efficiency. In designing CBDC, there are at least 4 core features that is required, classified into 3 main features, namely instrument features, system features, and institutional features. Instrument features of CBDC should be include comfortable, convenience, accepted, and available, and also low cost for end user. System features of CBDC should include secure, resilient, throughput, interoperability, instant, available all the time, scalable, flexible, and adaptable. While institutional features require CBDC to have a robust legal framework and following regulatory standard. The CBDC pyramid then describes the level and relation between user requirement and central bank design choices that can serve as the basic framework in CBDC design. Central banks around the world are currently working on CBDC projects for developing countries. The main motivation for implementing CBDC, especially retail CBDC, is the financial inclusion and efficiency of the domestic payment system. Meanwhile, for developed countries, CBDC can improve the security and efficiency of the payment system. The Bahamas with $10 project is an example of country that have launched CBDC retail projects in October 2020. Other countries that have piloting a CBDC retail project are Sweden with Ikron and China with a digital yuan. Meanwhile, Singapore with Project Ubin is focused on use case for a wholesale CBDC. We may realize that the innovation of money's form will give many benefits. However, it also has some potential risks. The benefits of money innovation include universality, trust and financial inclusions, alternative to private stablecoin or e-money, targeted monetary or financial policy implementation, and greater oversight, traceability, and could help in fighting financial crime. While the potential risk of money innovation may include potential disintermediation of commercial bank, increased cost of funding and volatility, currency code wars and digital space race, payment competition, erosion of data insight for private payment players, also anonymity and privacy that could create anti-money laundering issues. Now, we move forward to the second part. We will discuss more about the opportunity and the risk for crypto assets, stablecoin, and CBDC. The rapid growth of crypto asset has some opportunity and risks that need to be concerned by investor and regulator as well. Opportunity of crypto assets, including potential gain, do not depend on fiat money or government regulations. Efficient, fast, and easy payment instrument, including for cross-border transactions, also transparent and anonymous. Potential risk of crypto asset, including market risk due to high value fluctuation because of no underlying and depending on supply demand, excluded from deposit insurance scheme scope, disintermediation of traditional bank or non-bank role, credit risk for banks if the funds to purchase crypto assets come from bank credit, operational risk due to the cyber and fraud of the securities of investor deposit in the wallet, and money laundering risk. The development of stablecoins, although it is expected to have less volatility than crypto assets, also have some opportunity and risk. Opportunity of stablecoin, including supporting fast and efficient domestic and cross-border retail payment, fast, easy, and low-cost universal access to financial services, also transparent and easily monitored. Potential risk of crypto asset, including legal, regulatory oversight, public policy issues such as legal certainty, sound governance, financial and payment system integrity and efficiency, safety and cyber and operational risk, data protection, consumer and investor protection, and tax compliance. Another potential risk is coming from financial stability, monetary policy transmission, and the international monetary system such as a capital flight and fluctuation of base fiat money. Although CBDC is issued by the central bank with many benefits, including a CBDC role to boost up inclusion and payment system efficiency, some studies suggest that we should also need to pay attention, especially on CBDC risks and prepare the risk mitigation. There are two at least main risks of CBDC. First is substitution of bank deposit to domestic CBDC. This condition could reduce bank liquidity and lending capacity. Also, unachievable regulation ratio targets such as liquidity coverage ratio, loan to deposit ratio, loan to funding ratio, and reduced profitability. also could reduce demand and supply of credit, slowing economic growth, luring digital bank run to CBDC during bank crisis, especially in the systemic bank and effectiveness of monetary policy. A second is substitution of bank deposit and domestic CBDC to foreign CBDC. This condition could lead to encouraging low demand and use of foreign currency in countries with lower credible policies or underdeveloped payment systems, and encouraging capital outflow for emerging market to develop economy, especially if the central banks offer access to universal and unlimited CBDC, increasing the volatility of capital flows and lowering the domestic exchange rate. There are at least 3 risk mitigation of CBDC. First is domestic CBDC remuneration with provision of no interest bearing on CBDC ownership, or to set a lower CBDC interest rate compared to deposit rate or central bank current account rate, and limitation or capping of domestic CBDC balance and transaction value. Second is restriction of having foreign CBDCs in domestic markets, and the third is monetary and macroprudential policy response. Looking at the potential risk of crypto assets, stablecoin, and CBDC, authority has important role of the regulation and supervision. And in the next part, we will discuss about regulation and supervision from the authority, especially in Indonesia, and also compare with other countries. Authority response on cryptocurrency and stablecoin are varied in many countries. In the United States, for example, the evolution of crypto asset and stablecoins is being watched closely by money regulations. The regulator overseeing include U.S. Financial Crime Enforcement Network regarding money service business, Office of the Controller of the Currency, or OCC, regarding banking transactions, Securities of Exchange Commissions, or SEC, regarding securities, and the Commodity Trading Future Commission regarding the commodity. In Europe, France and Italy announced that cryptocurrency-related action has not yet received official permission from the governments. Meanwhile, the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority has issued guidelines outlining the valuation of crypto asset and stablecoin under Swiss supervisory laws. In the UK, HM Treasury and the Bank of England conducted an analysis to evaluate possible opportunities and risks related to UK CBDC. In Asia, the Reserve Bank of India, as well as the Prime Minister of India, have banned banks from conducting cryptocurrency-based private transaction. Meanwhile, Bank of Thailand prohibit the use of Tetra, which have launched a product called THT, where the Thai currency or baht is used as a reference. Bank of Thailand also stated that any activity that uses THT is considered illegal. Indonesia itself has also banned the use of cryptocurrency, including stablecoin, as a mean of payment, but we allow in the mean of commodity. In Australia, the Australian government and financial authorities have not provided or have applicable laws regarding cryptocurrency, including stablecoin. Reserve Bank of Australia has partnered with Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank, Perpetual, and Consensus Software is like a blockchain technology company to explore the potential use and implication of CBDC using distributed ledger technology. In Indonesia, Community Trading Supervision Authority, or BAPEPT, is the authorized party to regulate the crypto asset. And according to BAPEPT, in 2020, there are around 300 crypto assets which obtain a license to trade in the physical market of Indonesia crypto assets, and there are 13 crypto assets in the form of stablecoin. And based on BAPEPT plan for the upcoming stock or commodity exchange for crypto asset and stablecoin trading in Indonesia, there are several facilitators in the markets, including crypto asset commodity trader, future stock exchange, depository, and a future clearinghouse. Investor conduct the transaction through the exchanges, then the crypto asset will be stored in the depository. There are financial records between the crypto asset commodity trader and future clearinghouse, including records of ownership of crypto assets, and the transaction data report will be submitted to the future stock exchange as price reference in the market monitoring. This is what will be a plan for the future. With regard to regulation and supervision of crypto trading in Indonesia, Bank Indonesia has issued regulation and policy stance regarding virtual currency, in which a central bank is not allowing Indonesian financial institution from accommodating cryptocurrencies as a means of payment or other financial services tools. This is based on Bank Indonesia regulation in 2015 regarding obligation to use rupiah in the territory of the Indonesia that stated that each party is required to use rupiah in transaction conducted within the territory of Indonesia. Currency Act in 2011 also stated that rupiah must be used in every transaction that has the purpose of payment, settlement of other obligation that must be dealt with money, or other financial transaction conducted within the territory of Indonesia. Therefore, Bank Indonesia has issued two regulations in 2021 regarding payment service provider and payment system infrastructure providers. Based on these regulations, payment service provider or payment system infrastructure providers are prohibited three actions. The first is receive virtual currency used as a source of fund in the processing payment transactions. Second is perform payment transaction processing using virtual currency as a source of funds. And three is linking virtual currency with payment transaction processing. The central bank strategy includes integrating the framework of monetary policy, macroprudential and payment system policy, and the balances and the opportunity and risk. A well-functioning payment systems, monetary system, and financial system serve as a basis for economic growth, prosperity, and financial system stability. One of the concerns for the central bank as regulator is how to balance the benefit that can arise from the digitalization and minimize the risk arise from innovation from digitalization itself. Bank Indonesia also provides the policy mix framework to ensure stability and growth in economic and financial digital transformation. A key driver from cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, Internet of Things, robotic, augmented reality, and virtual reality. Of course, they play important role on the new digital economy. It has significant implication on the economy, including macro, monetary, financial stability, payment system, and capital flow management. The credibility of central bank is upholding by its ability to ensure transparency, accountability, communication strategy, and independency. Digitalization, including a future money issuance, along with economic openness and integration, will give impact on economic indicators such as GDP, inflation, balance of payment, and exchange rate. The role of central bank is to maintain stability in both macroeconomy and financial stability in order to support sustainable economic growth. And the last part of my presentation, we will discuss about the way forward and the recommendation regarding the rise of cyber currency in digital economy era. We should realize that crypto assets contain risks such as credit market and operational or cyber risk. Therefore, investors or public need to be careful in investing. Bank Indonesia feels that payment service provider is prohibited from receiving, using, and processing virtual currency in payment transactions, as well as cooperating with parties that facilitate transaction using a virtual currency. To plan to issue a Cbdc is currently in deep and careful study, so that this can be useful for the efforts to encourage the digital economy and finance in Indonesia. There are some requirements to be considered regarding the issuance of Cbdc in Indonesia. First is Cbdc designed to become legal tender in the Republic of Indonesia. Second is integrated money market infrastructure and payment system, and appropriate technology choices for Cbdc that are currently being reviewed by various central banks for their use. And of course, very important is the synergy and coordination between stakeholders, authorities, industry, and society is very important to wisely understand the benefit, challenges, and risk of cryptocurrency and crypto assets to support the growth of the digital financial economy and ensure that the stability is maintained. I will end my presentation here. Hopefully, we will have a fruitful discussion later. Thank you. I give back to Pak Putu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. That was a very comprehensive presentation. And I would like to invite participants asking questions to our speaker today. While waiting for the question, I have one question for you, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. Do you mean to say that the Cbdc is aimed at, beating Bitcoin and friends, because Cbdc, is regulated, it is centralized, while Bitcoin and friends are decentralized peer-to-peer networks. So how do you clarify that? And then what are sort of institutional challenges or barriers that can hinder the further development of cryptocurrencies in Indonesia? Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Pak Putu. First, that the CBDC and also the crypto assets is like the coexistence. They are complementary each other because, as we know that like the crypto assets is a commodity under the regulation of Trading Commission Authority, and even now in Indonesia there are some regulations regarding the crypto assets. I think the more important is that the investor has to know what is actually the benefit and the potential risk to invest in crypto assets, like the high volatility. And also we noted that like stablecoin is one type of cryptocurrency that probably have less volatility because the value of the stablecoin is pegged to the certain assets such as US dollar. So the movement of the stable asset value will, a stable coin value will also in line with the fundamental of like the US dollars, something like that. In the CBDC now, I think almost all of the central bank around the world is under study, and we see that some countries also have already starting like a pilot project because of the digitalization. We know that especially like the pandemic accelerating digitalization, and CBDC is like the need for us to have a digital currency. So I think the main issues like the infrastructure and the design as well. We still consider whether it could be centralized, but it could be decentralized, but it could be managed although decentralized. The important thing that we can monitor the movement of the CBDC. It's still under discussion.
Right, thank you for your feedback, Dr. Arliana. We've got a question here from Fitriani. The question is, how regulation from the central bank about cryptocurrency spamming and phishing issues, and how about stablecoin like Tether, can Rupiah like to, and how what is your perspective regarding IDRT or BIDR, like stablecoin, how the regulation? So she's asking you about, yeah, yes please.
Okay, actually Bank Indonesia don't regulate the crypto assets. All of the regulation regarding the crypto asset is under Bapepti. They mention a lot of regulation how to deal with crypto assets. Bank Indonesia just issued like the statement and regulate that we don't accept crypto asset as the mean of a payment system. So we cannot use like a crypto asset to make a payment to replace the rupiah. Even in Indonesia, we only use rupiah, not US dollar, even crypto assets. That's the point, I think.
All right. Dr. Arliana, there's a question here. How do you see the development of cryptocurrencies in Indonesia? And do you think it can be a regular mean of payment?
As I mentioned before, that crypto asset is not money. So if there is a trading of a crypto asset, of course it could be traded under the commodity trading. Yeah, but we will not regulate the crypto asset because it is a commodity. And in the mean of payment, everything is quite clear that we only use rupiah because the currency is related to the sovereignty. Each country has only one currency because it's regarding what I mean, place of the country. We only receive like rupiah for payment.
All right. Yes. Do you mean to say that Bitcoin, Ether, Dogecoin, and the like are more likely crypto securities, the commodities that you said in your presentation, rather than the future currencies because of the nature of the volatility? Was that what you mean to say?
Yeah, yeah. As we know that the main authority based on basic law of Indonesia, and I think in every country, that the institution that could issue the currency or sovereign of one country is central bank. And also there is three characteristics that we can see that the currency. The first is the store of value. I mean, if we assume that a crypto asset is a currency, the value of this asset is volatile.
Yeah.
Second is unit of account. I mean, how can we compare one unit of a crypto asset compare with other currency? Like we have the exchange rate risk. How can we compare what is the fundamental price of the crypto asset? But in rupiah, we can measure the fundamental aspect of the rupiah. It depends on the economic growth, the financial situation in the country. And the second is a medium of exchange. That is the three features that we can say that have to be embedded in the currency.
Brilliant. Dr. Arliana, we've got a participant who wants to ask you a question directly.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Can I have some question? Okay. I think something wrong with the audio. Sorry. Okay. Let me say. I'm interested in cryptocurrency, but if you have recently there is a trend investing in cryptocurrency among the young generation. But as you mentioned before, and Professor Bauer as well, there's a risk in cryptocurrency, even in trading or in transaction. But as far as I know, there is no public education about the risk. So I just worried about later when this become like a flood, like a booming in Indonesia, and then the risk is coming, and I mean, the government should be also in this case, in my opinion, should be responsible. Even central bank does not rule this thing. What do you think about this? The second thing that I heard that on the papers few days ago that MUI, Lembaga Majelis Umat Indonesia, Islam Indonesia, mentioned that cryptocurrency is haram. What do you think about this? Thank you, Bu Ileana.
Okay, thank you, Pak, for your question. Actually, we cannot say that we do not regulate the cryptocurrency, but according to the institutional arrangement in Indonesia, the regulator is still what I call is Bapepti. So, like you know that each division have their own mandate. So, in terms of commodity, all of the regulation, I think we have so many regulation regarding the crypto assets. Commodity trading supervision activity regulation is so many regulation. Even they also announce, I mean that if one crypto asset will belongs, they have to get permission from Bapepti. So I think it's quite strict the regulation in Indonesia. But the important point that I can capture from your question is you worry that what happens if there is not enough literacy about the crypto assets, especially for the young generation, because they just thinking that the high volatility can give them more benefit. I think this is our responsibility to get together as a regulator. As I mentioned before, the synergy is very important. According to this forum, I think it's quite good to give a better understanding that the higher return in a crypto asset also have a potential higher risk, as we see from the graph before I showed to you that how the price of the Bitcoin is very high, but remember in the 2017 and the 2018, the price is going down very sharply. It could happen in the future as well, because what is actually the underlying price of the Bitcoin? It's depend on the supply and demand. I think that's also important. I think this forum is one idea that very brilliant, I think, to make a better understanding to young people. I think, Pak Putu, you should invite other students from other university as well, so they will understand as well. They're really qualified.
Right. So do you mean to say that some of the institutional challenges or barriers are the existing regulations and then pressures from some religious groups, perhaps, and then literacy rate, financial literacy rate that hinder Bitcoins and friends to be recognized as cryptocurrencies, the future currencies in the digital economy? Do you mean to say that?
Yeah, we have a lot of regulation regarding the crypto assets in Indonesia, and also what we need is now is to like have establish a good literacy regarding the crypto assets, because people of investor have to be understand that the high return, of course, there is also a high risk, and also as we know that every crypto assets in Indonesia that will be, it should have to get permission first from Bapepti. So I mean, actually we regulate them. We regulate the crypto assets.
Right. We have another participant that wants to ask you directly a question. Yes, please. Mr. Sanju.
Can I ask a question? Yes, it's me. Hello, Mrs. Dr. Liana Abu Bakr. Thank you for presentation. It was such impressive presentation. And myself, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Sanju Kumar Singh. I'm from Nepal, originally from Nepal. Today I'm very happy to in this webinar, and it's such empowering, and I got a lot of insight regarding cryptocurrencies. Well, as Professor Bauer said that it was quite fascinating 5 years ago, I was also going through the same process, It was very fascinating, and just like, reading an article and just like, how it works, and it will be really apply in the future. And now it's pop up, it's coming up and everything is going on. And it's more importantly from after Corona, our Corona outbreak happened, and the need of cryptocurrencies is like, we start realizing that we need to implement and we need to go for it. So my question is that actually my concentration is also banking. I have completed my doctoral also in the banking in ASEAN. So it is actually quite related that, and I'm interested to ask you that, but it is not about cryptocurrencies. It is about what is called, my dissertation was not about cryptocurrencies, but I also want to know more detail about in ASEAN aspect, in ASEAN related aspect regarding cryptocurrencies. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, we must sure about like digital literacy or financial literacy before, because it is moreover about digital activity. Like we must know how to function, how to everything. And in ASEAN is like each country have the different kind of different kind of people, or some countries are not fully digitalized, like if you consider like a Myanmar, or maybe consider about Laos and Cambodia, maybe not like Singapore, maybe not like, I mean, very unequalized, I mean, not very, so what do you think, like, how can in ASEAN, how cryptocurrency will be like a good synchronized, how it will be good, well synchronized? What are the challenges we'll face? I just want to know your point of view about regarding this one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Sanju. Before going forward to how the banking system in Asian country have like the same standard in response to the crypto asset, maybe we have to. I think you have to already know as well that even in the Asian country, we have a different stage of banking development. Not every country is rely on the BCBS like the Basel III. It's mean that it 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 the stage of development of the banking sector in Asian country also have impact, of course, of how the banking sector in each country will respond to the crypto asset. But as far as I know, now the BCBS, the basic core principle of banking systems, now they are consider how actually the banking can treat the cryptocurrency as an asset in the banking capital and the banking assets. So I think if the BCBS have already like conclude how actually the banking can acquire the crypto asset as one of their asset, and how is the risk mitigation in the banking uh, balance sheet. I think it could be as the reference from any banks, not only in Asian but across the world. Of course, how then the bank will treat the cryptocurrency also depend on the regulation of the cryptocurrency itself, which is different in each country. I think that is the issues that probably can have a different perspective of each bank in each country, how they can treat the crypto assets. First is the different stages of development. The second is how far they adopt the basic core principle and the Basel III, and also it's will reference to Basel committee that now they are still under discussion how the bank should refer to the crypto assets. Maybe that's what I can share with you, Pak Sanju.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I have short question that, what do you think for since how long it will take in Indonesia to we start like, using cryptocurrency? How long it will take according to your experience or maybe your understanding?
I cannot explicitly predict how long it could be in the medium term or the long term. But what I see that we see that the crypto assets is growing rapidly. It's been that there is a lot of demands, and I think we also have to realize that since there is a lot of demand and also there is a lot of supply, we need to first is we need to have like the financial literacy regarding the crypto assets. And the second thing is the important is about the infrastructure. The infrastructure, as I mentioned before, that there is a big plan from Indonesian authority regarding the crypto asset itself. So how long we can have like the appropriate infrastructure also. I think we have already have a plan to that, but how long it will take to have the complete infrastructure, I have no idea, but probably in the medium or term, because I think the development of the crypto asset is quite high.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, very stimulating discussion, Dr. Arliana. However, we are approaching the end of your session, unfortunately. Now I would like to invite you to deliver your closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Putu. For closing, I think I would like to convey my appreciation to the organizer for their excellent work to arrange the event. And so for all of the participants who joined this seminar, I think I also enjoy and to get insight from some questions as well. Maybe we had to remind that in digital financial innovation, what is important is how to strike between harnessing the digital opportunity for innovation and the risk mitigation from that innovation. Therefore, the synergy and coordination between stakeholders, authority, industry, academics, and society is very important to support the growth of the digital financial economy and ensure the stability is maintained. That's, I think, my last remark. Thank you.
Brilliant. Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar, we are very glad to have you. Now I would like to hand over this webinar to MC. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second webinar session is over. In order to express our gratitude, we are honorably present the speaker biggest appreciation represented by the Head Unit of Research and Community Service, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. We will give an awarding charter to Director of Bank Indonesia Institute, Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. For Dr. Mimba, the time is yours.
A very good afternoon and good morning, everyone, all of the participants in this webinar, especially warmest greeting to Ibu Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. On this special occasion, on behalf of the Faculty of Economic and Business, we would like to extend our gratitude to you for sharing your excellent and also a beneficial insight to all of us. It was such a wonderful and fruitful sharing. Thank you, Ibu. And please kindly accept our certificate of appreciation. Please kindly give our big round of applause to Ibu Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar. Thank you.
We would like to say thank you to the speaker and our moderator for the great conversation and insights. And now for the third webinar session will be led by our moderator, to Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, Master of Accounting and Finance. The time is yours.
Well, thank you, MC, again. We are approaching our final session. Let me introduce our speaker, Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari. She's an associate professor of economics at Udayana University. She obtained her bachelor's degree and master's degree in economics from Udayana University. And then she continued her study and obtained a PhD degree in economics at Gajah Mada University. She has published a number of research papers in reputable journals. Her research interests are in the area of monetary economics and regional economics. In today's international webinar, she will be talking about the impact of the rise of cryptocurrencies and securities on equality. Without further ado, let's give it up for Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari. Hello, good morning, Dr. Wiwin Setiari. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning or good afternoon all?
I think it's still morning.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much for joining us. And just like speaker number 1 and 2, you've got approximately 45 minutes for everything. And I would like to invite all participants joining this webinar. If you have any questions, please drop your questions in the chats or comments while the speaker is delivering her presentation. All right, without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Wiwin Setiari for the presentation. Time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Agus, and thank you for introducing me. Good afternoon all, or still good morning. I think it's a great honor for me to join you in this webinar. I will be the last speaker for today, so hopefully all of you still have enough concentration a little bit longer. As you notice in front of my name, it's written Niputu, so it's an iconic identity as a Balinese woman. Ni means a woman and Putu means I am a first child in my family. So you can call me Putu, but not Ni, or Wiwin as my friend and colleague called me. In the first session, Professor Dirk already talked about crypto, and from financial perspective, Ibu Ariana has explained the regulation and policy on it. Then I will take you to the other perspective. For now, I would like to ask you all to discuss about how cryptocurrency in digital economy can affect to equality or inequality in income or wealth of people around the world. So there is a view that this committee can do. Proceed to the next slide. Thank you. So there is a view that cryptocurrency has a positive effect in reducing inequality in society. So this is possible because crypto is based on digital economy, which provide times and convenience for transactions that are much more efficient and faster. Sorry, can I have time for a drink first? Sorry. So some of the reasons that crypto supporters put forward include the technology used to support the crypto. So, Professor Dirk already named it a blockchains. The blockchains, it's a revolutionary potential. Blockchains lies in its ability to securely inventory, track, subdivide, and transfer wealth over the internet. In a simple way to say about blockchains, I think it's a provide a technological mechanism for enabling sharing. So instead of storing the information in a central location, blockchains makes multiple copies and distribute them across the network. Each transaction is made across the network at essentially zero cost and with total transparency. Another opinion says that using crypto can ensure the more remittance go to their intended recipients instead of being taken by intermediaries. As we know that money transfer companies charge fees to send cash across borders. Their business providing services, and then after all, they need to get paid. As well as other party that must be used to exchange if we receive money in other currency. Another groups, there are those who highlight the effect of policies during the pandemic. What we seen as a form of monetary policy response to overcome COVID is the influx of additional large amount of money, which caused inflation in the value of financial assets. So this increase in asset value then floating the haves and like a switch on alarm to rescue of the haves not. So I think some arguments to support why cryptocurrency can decrease inequality. In a different perspective, some argue that crypto is only causes existing inequality wider. The digital economy is highly dependent on master of technology. So one of the biggest challenges facing contemporary high-tech globalized capitalism is rise of inequality and the lack of steady. So in particular for people without technical skill. For example, globalization grows middle classes in China and Mexico, but costs jobs in America. So technology so far has mostly made inequality worse. And the second one, that digital money could leave the government with more control than ever, while making wealth inequality much worse. Cryptocurrency and their underlying technology hold out the promises for democratizing finance by making digital payments and other financial products and services easily accessible to the people. But because of existing inequalities in digital access, financial literacy, they could end up worsening inequality. So in particular, that any financial risk arising from investing in cryptocurrency and related products might end up falling especially heavily on naive retail investors. So cryptocurrency have held their own the aspect of wealth, prosperity and growth, but their benefit have traditionally been limited to the fortunate few that already have an exposure. Okay, please, next slide. So we see so many different arguments which support or does not support. Then which of these two is happened in real life? Let's see the facts from the result of several studies that have been issued. Okay. Entering the era of digital economy in the 21st century, the development of information, communication, technology, or ICT going faster. So this has led to a merge of a variety of new industry and disruption of all industries that have changed the base of the world economy. However, the acceleration of development of digital technology has also had negative impact. So based on the National Bureau of Economic Research journal in 2017, it's revealed that an increase in income inequality in most organizations for economic cooperation and development countries, it's partly caused by digital economy. Okay, you can see in the next picture, right? Okay, so this picture is describe the world map in terms of economic and digital development. Its condition, this picture in 2018, as we can see, the level of a digital development is not the same in every country. So countries with high economic levels have like high levels of digital economy. On the other hand, countries with weak economies have underdeveloped digital economies. So I want to say here that digital cryptocurrency and crypto assets is aimed to mirror some or all the uses of traditional money. It can be a means of payment. It can be a store of value, a unit of account. Therefore, access is highly dependent on digital economy development in its country. So, what's more today? Increasing globalized economy that requires the transfer of goods, services, and people across many different borders, meaning that a well-functioning monetary system is a concern that is both international and also local. To function smoothly, people need to able to use money and keep records easily. So no matter if you are in Australia or in Indonesia, by strengthening buying and trading in one part of the globe, the entire world economy can be made more robust, more resilient, and the crypto economy in particular can be expand use cases and greater demand. Okay, in this picture, okay, in this picture, you can imagine this picture are described in 2017. So there are still difficulties in accessing bank financial institutions in several countries. Most of them are in Asian countries such as India, China, and even including Indonesia. So this condition have prompted the use of cryptocurrency to accelerate in recent years. But it's only by getting as many users as possible to participate that a new era of global capital can be built in blockchain technology. So let's see how countries' income inequality around the world change. Okay, so this picture describes sorry, have I still clearly in the room? Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, I can hear your voice clearly, but I guess the PowerPoint slide freeze.
Yes, I, yeah, that's why I am not in a good connections.
It works.
Okay,
It's
thank
moving on to
you.
picture 2. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, can you move it forward? Next slide, please. Okay, and the next slide, please. Okay. Okay, this is a picture. It's described inequality condition in 2000. As you see here, that we will assume that cryptocurrency doesn't exist yet since it began use in 2009. So in 2000, you can see the light yellow and the dark one. This figure shows the level of income equality in countries around the world. Countries with low inequality, Denmark, Australia, and several other European countries, the US, Canada, China, India, and some other Southeastern Asian countries, including Indonesia, are said to have a moderate inequality. So, however, countries in Africa and Middle East show high level inequality. So, more dark the color is, more deep the inequality. Next. Okay, thank you. So this is the condition for 2020. Let us jump to 2020. So there is a significant change in the pattern of inequality. Some of areas still in light yellow in like Europe and Australia, and some are already changed like China. Then some are already more dark than before. So the area of high inequality is widening, especially in area where the digital economy is not yet developed, such as Middle East, Africa, Latin America, then South and Southeastern Asia, including Indonesia. If you remember in the first slide that Indonesia is still have a little bit light in 2000, but in 2020, Indonesia is already dark. So this picture describes that inequality in Indonesia is more deeper. Next. Okay. According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD Digital Economy Report 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic has markedly increased the internet traffic, so as many activities have moved online. Global internet bandwidth rose by 35% in 2020. So if we compare with previous year, it's only 26%. But the data-driven digital economy is characterized by large imbalance and divides. So as the digital economy grows, data-related divide is compounding the digital divide. It's only 20% of people in the least developed countries or LDC use the internet. So, and when they do, it's typically at relatively low download speeds, and then with a relatively high price tag attached. So it also, the average mobile broadband speed is about 3 times higher in the developed countries than in less developed countries. And while up to 8 out of 10 internet users shop online in several developed countries, but only less than 1 out of 10 to do so in many less developed countries. Okay, next. Okay, next. So if we see the international bandwidth picture, so the international bandwidth use is geographically concentrated along 2 main routes, which is North America, Europe, and then North America, China. It's only less going to Asian countries. Okay, now let's see a comparison of cryptocurrency transaction in these regions. Okay, so in this picture or diagram, you can see that reliance on remittance and the prevalence of peer-to-peer phone payments have to lead to a step rise of cryptocurrency use in Africa's larger economy. So based on Statista Global Consumer Survey in 2020, Nigerians were the most likely to say they use or own cryptocurrency. Recently, business in the country have been adding crypto plugs into their phone payment option, and then adding another way which Nigerian can use cryptocurrency in their everyday life. The second and the third higher rates of cryptocurrency use in the survey were recorded in Vietnam and the Philippines. In addition to user in Africa and Southeast Asia, and one more region where many cryptocurrency users are located in Latin America. And then Japan finally was the country in the survey where the fewest people said they use or own cryptocurrency. Only 4% said they have experience with crypto products, the lowest in the survey together with Denmark. So what I think about the phenomenon that that location technology contextualized economic and demographic data need to for a deeper view of why cryptocurrency is popular in certain regions. Countries with historically low access to banks or financial services have high foreign exchange rates, and then have a high incidence of remittance payments from family working abroad, are more attracted to cryptocurrency uses. So in places like US and Denmark, cryptocurrency has been largely viewed as a long-term investment with limited online purchasing power. With the global strength of US dollar and the high percentage of their population able to access financial services, there's likely less need for them to utilize cryptocurrency. So as a day-to-day alternative to fiat payments or traditional banking. As we can see, the largest crypto using area, Africa, Latin America, and then Southeast Asia, are areas that are experiencing increasing inequality in their society. Countries in Europe from the beginning that they have very low level inequality. If we say DESR report 2021, regard to digital skills, about 50% of individuals in EU have at least basic digital skills. The data shows a slight increase in ICT specialists in employment. So in 2020, the EU had 8.4 million ICT specialists, compared to 7.8 million a year earlier in 2019. So the DESI is a Digital Economy and Society Index, was made to track the progress made in EU member states in digital competitiveness in the area of human capital, broadband connectivity, the integration of digital technology by business and digital public services. The report has also published that the Women in Digital Scoreboard, which confirmed that there is still a substantial gender gap in specialist digital skill. So it's only 90% of ICT specialists and about 1/3 of science, technology, engineering, mathematics graduates are female. And regards the data on connectivity, it show an improvement in very high capacity network or VHCN, particularly that is available in 59% of household in EU, up from 50% a year ago. So they raised 9% in a year. The rural VHCN coverage went up from 20% in 2009 to 28% in 2020. So moreover, 25 member states have assigned some 5G spectrum. 5G, we are amazed with this 5G spectrum compared to 60 member states 1 year ago. And then 5G has been launched commercially in 18 member states, mainly covering urban areas. And then with respect to integration of digital technologies, okay, there has been a large increase in usage of cloud technologies. It increased from 60% of companies in 2018 to 26% in 2020. Complementing the data in this report is a study published with a survey, the contribution. Okay, you can next. Okay, can be survey the contribution of ICT to the environmental sustainability action of EU enterprises. So it's we reveal that 66% of survey companies say that they use ICT solution as a way of reducing their environmental footprint. Okay, let's see. It's a EU condition. So how about Indonesia? How about Asian countries? Let's we talk about Indonesia as there's a question about Asian and about Indonesia. So in Indonesia cases, I will study by Semeru. They find that the internet in Indonesia is currently unequal by region, by gender, by level of welfare, level of education, and business sector. So in addition, the internet is still considered as a means of communication and entertainment, but not yet as a means of business in general. Okay, please forward. Okay, you can see here. So this is the picture described condition in its country. To what extent does the active people possess sufficient digital skill? So we, if we talk about digital skill, maybe we can mention the computer skill, basic coding, or digital reading. It's number 1 till 7. 1 means not all, 7 means great to all. And then in 2019, United States has the value about 5.33, making it part of top 10 for the indicator of CGI 4.0. So this indicator is digital skill among population. So Finland has the highest indicator value. It's 5.83, whereas Angola had the lowest indicator value in 2.45. Rate in Asia itself is range between 4.4 until 4.9. I think it's in medium level. Okay, next. Okay. Mobile data in Indonesia is very affordable. I think it's costing just 30% of what consumer in some Asian neighboring countries pay. However, quality is defined as the average connection speed. Internet bandwidth can be very low. So Indonesia's size and geographic complexity compound the challenge. So Indonesia last mile 4G coverage was only 23% in 2015. So Indonesia internet penetration is around 34%. The rate was half the Asian neighbor like Malaysia, And just far behind that, the leaders are UK, Japan, and Canada. So indeed, its relatively large population means that Indonesia is home to the world's third largest population of individuals without access to the internet. Geographically, digitization is uneven across Indonesia, with internet penetration strongly correlated to income per capita. I think its poorer region have lower penetration. Only large population centers such as Jakarta, Yogyakarta, or probably Bali have a penetration rate above 45%. And similar condition I think it's common in some Asian countries. Given the widening digital skills gap and differences in the level of regulation and infrastructure in Asia, not all countries can take full advantage of the benefits offered by the digital economy. So many times people in developing Asian countries do not have access to basic online account, be it due to lack of digital devices, nationally accepted forms of identification, or socioeconomic barriers. So what I want to say that the initial condition between regions across regions are very different. And that's why the digital economy development, including the use of cryptocurrencies, can have a different impact to economies. Okay. So I think it's all what I want to say today. Maybe we can have more discussing in the next session. If there are any questions, you can discuss. For time, I will hand over to Bapak Agus. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wiwin Setiari. That was interesting presentation. And I would like to invite questions. Yes, we've got one question here from Iwayan Sukadana. The question is, I'm not disputing the income inequality and the digital divide within developing countries such as Indonesia, but all that kind of inequality wasn't under DLT principles. It's all decentralized. It might that we have internet problem, but not with cell phone and its credit accessed. Other premises is our communal system in Bali, for example, which by natural, in his opinion, are used to decentralized culture. What's your verdict on the opportunity about the future of DLT or cryptocurrencies, just an output in breaking the inequality and boost growth? I hope you get it, Dr. Setiari.
Okay,
yes, please, your response.
Okay, thank you for the question. I mentioned earlier that we have internet, we have a cell phone, but we do not use it for the important thing today. For example, the survey said that Indonesian people only use handphone just for entertaining, gaming, TikTok, or something like that. But business is only arise when the pandemic's falling. So for me, we said that inequality is based on the not only for the access, but also, as you mentioned, that culture. For example, some of areas you can maybe because I'm live in the city of Bali, so Denpasar, I just experience it that I have access, but still have a low bandwidth, low speed. So as I mentioned before, sometimes we have it, but in a low speed or low bandwidth. Inequality means that we have compared to other regions, but I think culture is not means something. Culture is not make you marginalized from the digital economy, but the literacy, yes. For example, sometimes Indonesian culture, if I can say that Indonesian culture, sometimes we just forward the information without checking it twice, checking it, is it true or is it a correct information, just share it and then just forward it without thinking about the impact of the information. So what I want to say that it's kind of culture. Maybe we can include it in the digital literacy that we have to make it more. I think it must. We have to increase it to our people. So it's not just about the infrastructure, but also about the literacy itself. I hope it answers your question. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your response. Do we have any more question? Oh yeah, there's a question here appear on my screen from Imade Karya Utama. The question is, since you discussed about economic inequality, do you think cryptocurrencies are only for the rich? What do you think, Dr. Satyari?
Okay, thank you. Probably we will say about cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency must be used technology. So it's a digital revolution in transforming economy. So if you will invest in a cryptocurrency, you must have capital to do it. You must have access to do it. And not all of people have enough capital, or not all people have access to do it. So invest in cryptocurrency will be benefit for people who have capital, who have access to the digital technology. So as long as you have both of them, you will have an advantage of digital economy. But just imagine that there is an area with no access, with no capital. So it can be that that the income will have shift from labor to capital owner. So as long if we cannot inequality this access, we can say that more capital, more advantage, more money will shift to the capital owner, but not to labor people. So I think it make inequality more wider. Thank you. Thank you. I hope it can answer your questions. Thank you.
Right. Thank you again. Yeah, we've got one more question here. It's pretty long. Some academics believe that today the world has entered some digital Leviathan era, which is an era where physical values migrate to digital massively, which has polarized countries that master technology and big data. This will be closely related to the low literacy and digital infrastructure that a country has.
Yes.
It is said that neoliberalism did not disappear but migrated into a digital form. In the end, this raises the issue of inequality. The question is, what is the position of developing countries like Indonesia? Your response, please.
So that's what some people or some economists worry about, the rise of capitalism. So I think some people or some economists say that it made inequality wider because of this capitalism. So Digital economy or digitalization is part of the technology. If we say in growth, technology is a part of production function or output for the growth of economy. So we need the digitalization, we need the technology to update, but we have to make sure that the digitalization or technology can be advantage for all people, for all the society. So is it make so I think can we make it better for tomorrow because of capital? We cannot I think we cannot say no to globalization. We cannot say no to digitalization. For example, in 2015, Indonesia only have 4G spectrum, but recently we already know 5G, but still in limited access or still in limited area. I think we have to what we have to do is just prepare or just improve some of aspect of our economy. Sorry, can you repeat for the second question because I lost it? Thank you. Or I think, or is it enough for the Agung?
It doesn't appear on my screen, unfortunately, so I need somebody to make it appears on my screen so I can read that question, if it's possible.
I think it's enough to, I think I sent to I said to Mr. Agung,
Or
did
maybe
I
you can
answer your question or did
maybe you can find the question in. Oh, here we go. The question is what is the position of developing countries such as Indonesia? Is that the question that you want to see? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yeah. Okay, since Indonesia and some countries in Asia have uneven and equal position with other countries in regardless of our technology, that we can say that Indonesia is a big country with big populations, so we can become a big market for the digitalization. I just worry that Indonesia is just become a market but not a player in this digitalization economy, since we will enter the economic chains or production supply chains that we have to start our digitalization, our economy to enter these supply chains, not only become a market but also become a player in this recent economy. That's my answer. Thank you.
Right, brilliant. Somebody just gave me a sign that it is now your time to deliver, closing remark. Time's yours, Dr. Setiari.
Okay, thank you. I would try to review this question and then answer with just a short statement that digital revolution is transforming economy, so that potential economic gains from digital technologies are huge, but with new opportunities, we also be aware about new challenges. Within economies, income and wealth inequalities have arisen in digitalization. So it reshaped markets and the world of business and work. So inequalities have increased between firms, between workers. The distribution of both of capital and labor income become more unequal. So as I said earlier, that income has shifted from labor to capital. I think that technology change, however, is not the sole reason for the rising inequality, as Bapak Sukadana said. We can say that policy failures have been important part of the story. I think policy will need to be more responsive to the new dynamics of the digital economy to achieve outcomes that are more inclusive. So I view things that I want to highlight that under various form of digitalizations, including money in economic future, that cannot be avoided. We as a society, as economic actors, including the beneficiary of development, we must be prepared with the existing one. So what we can learn from the current condition, that technology that is not matched with the readiness of institution, with infrastructure, with education and skill, it tend to widen the existing inequality. I think it's become our responsible for every actor in economy. I think it's all. Thank you, Bapak Agus.
Well, thank you very much for your closing remark. And it is now my turn to conclude our discussion in today's international webinar. From the talks, I would like to say that blockchain technology is the keyword of our topic today in regards with crypto assets. It provides the opportunities for democratizing the financial system, right? It facilitates decentralized peer-to-peer networks. It also promotes transparency, right? Bitcoin, Ether, Dogecoin, and the like, they use this technology. And, the rise of cryptocurrencies and crypto securities are not without challenges, right? And from the discussions, we identified some challenges, especially institutional barriers or challenges. They are the existing regulations, pressures from some groups, and then another barriers are low rate of financial literacy and also low rate of internet penetration. Well, I would like to say thank to all speakers and all participants joining this international webinar. I personally hope that this international webinar can stimulate future policy making and policy debate on the future of financial stability system. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. Stay safe and bye now. I would like to hand over this webinar to MC. Bye now. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the third webinar session is over. In order to express our gratitude, we are honorably present the speaker biggest appreciation represented by the Head of Research and Community Service, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. We will give an awarding charter to Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari from Udayana University. For Dr. Mimba, the time is yours.
Well, Finally, we already reached the third or the final session of this international webinar. We also would like to extend our high appreciation to all of the participants who are still with us until now. To Ibu Dr. Wiwin, on behalf of the Faculty of Economic and Business, we would like to extend our gratitude to you for sharing your wonderful thoughts to all of us. Please kindly accept our appreciation to Ibu Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari. Let's give our big applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar session is over. In order to express our gratitude, we are honorably present the moderator biggest appreciation represented by the head unit of research and community service, Faculty of Economics, Udayana University. We will give an awarding charter to Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, Master of Accounting and Finance, and will be continued by closing speech for this event. For Dr. Mimba, the time is yours.
Now it's the time for us to give our appreciation to our excellent moderator for leading our discussion from the first session until the third session in a very excellent way. To Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana, please kindly accept our certificate of appreciation. Thank you. In these closing remarks, on behalf of the Vice Dean for the Academic Affairs and Planning, we would like to extend our highest gratitude to all of distinguished speakers. We just had our speakers here, Professor Dirk Bauer, Ibu Dr. Arliana Abu Bakar, Ibu Dr. Niputu Wiwin Setiari. They already showed us their wonderful thoughts and experiences. And of course, we also would like to thank Mr. Putu Agus Ardiana for leading our discussion. We also would like to give our high appreciation to all of the committee members that led by Ibu Dr. Eka Ardani for preparing all of the things for this event. And the last but not the least, of course, our big appreciation to all of the participants of this international webinar for all of your excellent support. This webinar won't be possible without all of the collaboration and support from all of you. So finally, let's me close this international webinar officially with saying in our traditional greeting, Om Santi Santi Santi. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Namo Buddhaya, greeting of peace and prosperity. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we had productive and inspiring time together, and this event about and we appreciate all participants that join in through link WebEx events, and many more of participants joining by YouTube channels, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time in international webinar, The Rise of Cryptocurrencies and Securities in the Digital Economy, Opportunities and Challenges, Faculty of Economics and Business, Udayana University, 2022.